Welcome to the Trill and BA Show. I'm your host, Felicia and Rose Anuha, aka the trillest MBA you will ever know. And I'm here to help you survive and thrive in corporate America by giving you the truth and being as real as only I can be. Happy Easter Sunday, everybody, and welcome back to the show. You know, I'm just excited because my homeboy Jesus, he's chilling in heaven and everything, and we're going to celebrate all of that, you know, and glad he's up there, but we're down here. And we're going to be all right down here with all these shenanigans and tomfoolery that we have to deal with. But since we're down here, I'm here to help all of us, including myself sometimes, get to the meat of how we make it in corporate. So I'm excited for this episode today because I want to give a little more texture and context to a part of a conversation that I had this week with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay on the Higher Learning podcast, where we talked about code switching. But first, all right, guys, today's Corporate Warrior Spotlight is Rita Cowens, Vice President of Internal Audit at FedEx Services. As the Vice President of Internal Audit at FedEx Services, Rita brings a disciplined and success-oriented approach to the audit process. Rita is responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the audit activities for FedEx U.S. domestic operations, for express, freight, ground, logistics, and audit special projects, fraud investigations. That's a lot. Her firm commitment to excellence has earned her FedEx 5-Star Awards, the company's highest honor, and Internal Audit All-Star Team Awards. In addition to earning a BBA degree from the University of Memphis, Rita's credentials include the Certified Information Systems Auditor and the Certified Internal Auditor. She holds memberships in the Institution of Internal Auditors, the Information System Audit and Control Association, the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and the International Aviation Women's Association. Wow. She also serves on the board for the Institute of Internal Auditors Memphis chapter and is a recent graduate of Leadership Memphis executive class. You better be a baddie in Memphis. On top of that, she actively supports diversity and inclusion at FedEx by ensuring that the internal audit department reflects the FedEx People First philosophy. In addition, she currently serves as the FedEx Services Executive Diversity and Inclusion Steering Committee. Rita's community involvement includes United Way, Toys for Tots, Operation Feed, the March of Dimes, and the FedEx Family House. She also participates with recruitment and development activities at Jackson State University, Mississippi State, and Delta State. As a professional mentor, Rita has been featured in the Century 21 accounting textbook for high school students. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. You guys, I don't know Rita personally, but if you know Rita, let her know that we bigged up her on this podcast. We are proud of all the work that you are doing professionally and for our community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep grinding. Somebody give Rita a hug because she got a lot of jobs. You know, this is definitely one of those jobs where if she leave, they're going to hire 5 more people like y'all already know. All right, guys. Now, you guys, I had the absolute privilege and pleasure this week to talk about all things career navigation, because y'all know that's my jam. Got to get us paid and promoted, with the host of the Higher Learning podcast, Van Lathan Jr. and Rachel Lynn Lindsay. Now, y'all may remember Van from his days at TMZ, most notably where he respectfully told Kanye West about himself. I love him for that. And Rachel is a Texas native, but not only is she a Texas native, she is a University of Texas at Austin alum. Hook 'em, okay? That's where I went to school undergrad too. But she is most known for being the first Black bachelorette, which I'm sure has its own traumatic experiences. But hey, she got her husband, so, Bachelor Nation. No, I'm playing. I'm not the prototype. Now, on the Higher Learning podcast, Van and Rachel dissect the biggest topics in Black culture, politics, and sports. And 2 times per week, they wade into the most important and timely conversations, frequently inviting guests on the podcast and occasionally debating each other. So you guys definitely go check out the Higher Learning podcast. I definitely now consider myself a thought warrior. And we had a great conversation this week. So you can check out my episode. I'll link it in the show notes for you to check it out. And I love that they have video, and I was in studio with them. It was an awesome experience, and I hope they invite me back. I tried to act right, so I could get the invite back. But listen, we had a dope-ass conversation where Van asked me a question about code switching. And I was just really like, wow, we need to really talk about this, because the short amount of time that we had, we were there for an hour talking, but the short amount of time that we talked about code switching, I felt like I needed to add more color and texture for you guys out there and give you some tips, tricks, and tactics, some ways to think through how you're going to personally approach code switching at work. And that's what we're going to get into today. But first, Chris, play the clip where Van, Rachel, and I are discussing code switching.
Language is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so being that language is a tool, there's no right or wrong way to speak. It depends upon where you are, right? So if you come down to where I'm from in Baton Rouge and you've never been there before, when you speak to them, they're going to know something's off with you. The tool that you're bringing, the language that you're talking to them, the dialect that you're speaking, whatever, it's not registering.
Right.
And they might speak back to you and use words and phrases that you don't understand. Language is a tool. Like then people say, oh, you talk this, you talk that. No, it's a tool. Like all of that stuff, like use this. So wherever you go, you need to use the tool that you have in the correct way.
Exactly.
For me, I'm understood when I'm in Baton Rouge. I'm understood when I'm here. Not everybody has to code switch. Right. And not everybody has sort of, not everybody does. You know what I mean? So I talk my shit.
I don't just mean talking. I guess I mean, like we joked here, we haven't said it in a while, but like there were 3 Rachels, right? There was Rachel on Higher Learning, there's Rachel on Extra, and there's Rachel from The Bachelor.
Yeah.
There's an element of code. And the reason there's 3 of them is because I'm not talking any different, but I might hold back. Yeah. Isn't that a form of code switching as well?
But again,
I might not fully be my full self because it's not, I got to play a certain game at times.
So 2 things. I want to share a tidbit that, shout out to my old boss, Brianna, told me. Because I struggle with code switching all the time. I'm from Victoria, Texas. I'm a nigga to my heart. Like, I just make this money because I got this MBA, right? Like, she told me, she said, but nobody deserves the full version of you. Nobody deserves, like, how I show up for my husband as a wife is different from how I show up for my kids as a mother. Is different how I show up for my teammates as the VP of marketing, right? And so it's about communicating for impact. And I hate this idea that it feels like we're giving up something when we code switch. But what we're actually doing is trying to communicate in the most effective way to get our point across and get what we need.
Now, before I say that I'm jealous of Van, since he doesn't have to code switch in his world, in his life, I want to break down, in case you guys don't quite know what code switching is. I like to name names, have terms, comes from my years of debate and theater growing up. But what exactly is code switching exactly, right? So let's start with the basics. Essentially, it's the act of changing the way you communicate based on the audience you're speaking to. There are a number of different ways humans code switch, but the ones that we contend with at work are the following three. One, we do something called dialect switching. So this is when someone switches between different dialects or varieties of a language. So we're speaking the same base language, however, we put a twist to it. So for example, a person might use African American Vernacular English or AAVE with their friends. Then when they get to work, they will use quote unquote standard English in a professional setting. So we do that a lot, right? How I talk to my homegirl is not how I talk to my manager, right? Well, sometimes I let things slip. That's a whole nother code switching when you mix it all together. But the next one we'll do at work, we'll do what's called register switching. So I do this all the time when I'm in meetings, right? This is when a speaker adjusts their language or style of speech depending on the context. So for example, a person might use more formal language and tone when speaking to a supervisor or a client, and then switch to a more casual or familiar tone with friends and family. And this is the one I struggle with because I just want to be my Black ass self all the time and speak how I speak, which is in my natural tone and inclinations is to be very casual, very familiar. And it's so funny because there were a lot of times when I was interviewing for new jobs and I would get the feedback that, oh, you were too familiar with the interviewer. And I just took that as racist. Because why wouldn't we want to get cozy and comfortable if we want to work together? Don't you want to like me? But then there was this question mark around whether I could show up appropriately in front of senior leadership. I actually got that feedback, guys. I'm not going to name names. I could name company names. Let's just say Fortune 500 companies that I didn't work for on the East Coast. Because that's when I got that feedback a couple of times. I was so upset. But this happens, and this is something Van doesn't have to do. He doesn't have to register switch. And then there's style switching, which is something I don't think we really think about, but we always ask questions about. So this type of code switching is when a person adjusts their behavior or style depending on the context, right? So for example, a person might dress more formally for a work interview and then switch to more casual attire when socializing with friends. So something you might be thinking is like, well, wait a minute, Felicia, it sounds like code switching is something everybody does. Absolutely. We all, to a certain level or degree, code switch for work, no matter who you are. I think what the struggle is that the dominant culture, there are certain ways that they are not expected to code switch, or if they don't or choose not to code switch in certain ways, especially when it comes to style, like their hair, how they wear their hair. They can just wear their hair how they want to wear their hair. They can even dye their hair funky, spunky colors, and that's seen as creative. You know, it's just seen differently. It's not seen unprofessionally when they have dyed hair that's red or blue or purple. But when we do it, that's a style switch that needs to happen for the office place. So that's how this affects us, this type of code switching. So these are the three when I talk about code switching. I'm talking about switching our dialect, switching our pattern or tone, like, hi, Bob, how are you today? Being softer with the people you work with, then like, my bitch, what's up? Like, you're not gonna, like, when you get excited about something at work, that's not what you're gonna say, right? You should be able to. but that's not how this works. Now, when we get back from the break, I'm going to break down the answer to the question, do we still need to code switch in 2023? Like, is that still a thing? When we get back from the break. All right, guys, listen. BMAA, Black Marketers Association of America, is having the most lit, okay, LIT function. It's called the Shades of Marketing. It's going to be hosted by your girl right here. I'm going to be the MC. And I have 5 VIP tickets. All you got to do is email ask@trillionba.com. That's all you got to do. Email us. And if you've emailed us, email us again. I'm going to be honest. We had a little glitch with the website over the weekend, and I might be missing some emails. So if you could email again, make sure you got it in. You should get a response from me saying you have been entered into the drawing. So if you don't get a response saying you have been entered into the drawing, then we didn't get your email. So email ask@trillionba.com and let me know that you want to go VIP style to the Shades of Marketing, and then let me know how this podcast has helped you. Okay? Tickets already paid for it. Now, one caveat, let's be real clear. April 15th, the morning of April 15th, because this event starts in the morning, okay? 9 o'clock. So the morning of April 15th, you must be in Los Angeles, okay? You must have transported yourself to Los Angeles. You must have already lived in Los Angeles. Like, you got to be here. Like, I love you, but we are not paying transportation costs. We are only providing the actual ticket to get in the building and have a great VIP time with us, okay? It's going to be great times. If you enter and you don't win a VIP ticket, you can still purchase tickets. The link is in the show notes, okay? So I expect to see you guys Saturday, April 15th, Los Angeles, California. We are going to have a great time. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to get these nuggets. It's going to be amazing. So come hang out with me, your girl, for all things career navigation, because that's what I love to do and talk about. And we're going to talk about marketing. And I love marketing too, because I am a classically trained marketer by trade. I like saying that shit. It sounds great. Anyway, guys, enough of my shenanigans. See you guys April 15th, Los Angeles, California. Shades of Marketing Tour. All right, let's get back to this show. All right, guys, listen. Do we still need to code switch? Oh, girl, let me tell you. Okay. Now, this is a damn shame that we still have to code switch in the workplace to be successful. But like I said in the last segment, to some degree, all of us have to code switch to fit in, to go along, to get along. Yeah. You know, it's like, can we not just show up as our fabulous, unapologetic, black-ass selves and still get ahead and get promoted and get paid? Unfortunately, we're not living in a perfect world yet. And sometimes we just got to play the game. And that just is what it is. But here's the thing. Code switching isn't the only way to win. So it really resonated with me when Van was like, I ain't had to code switch a day in my life. I was just like, how I talk here is how I talk here. I don't code switch. He was very adamant about it. But I also recognize that Van works in entertainment. And he's, in a creative space. And creatives have that latitude. But what about the rest of us that are like working for these big corporations? Don't get me wrong. It can be useful to code switch. It's good to have the tool in your arsenal, continually sharpening it, mastering it. That's what I try to do. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But it shouldn't be the only one. You can find workplaces and careers where your uniqueness is valued and celebrated, just like Van, where you can bring your whole self to work and still be great. Although, please recognize what I said about what Brianna told me. Do they deserve your whole self? Something you got to think about. And also, let's be real, code switching can be very exhausting. It's like we're constantly switching between two different versions of ourselves, depending on who we're talking to. And that can really take a toll on your mental health and your sense of self. When it comes to code switching at work, we are basically caught between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, we got to speak the language of the majority, i.e. white folks, if we want to get ahead in our careers. But on the other hand, we don't want to come off as, Van said, sellouts or fake ass bitches. So do we have to code switch? Sometimes, yeah, for survival, to survive. Because there are stereotypes and microaggressions we got to deal with. You know, if you're too assertive, you're seen as the angry Black woman or the angry Black man. If you're too quiet, then we're meek and timid. And so we aren't leadership behaviors. Sometimes y'all wonder if we can really win. But here's the real tea. Code switching, yes, it's annoying, but it can be very harmful. And it can lead us feeling like we're not being true to ourselves and can even lead to burnout and mental health issues, like I mentioned before. Plus, it reinforces the same old tired ass power dynamics in the workplace, where white folks are on top and we're expected to fit into their mold. I know one of the comments in the Thought Warrior Reddit thread was, it sounds very contradictory. And the reason why it sounds contradictory, on one hand, it's like, oh, just be your Black ass self, you'll be fine. And then on the other hand, it's like, wait, hold on. You know, you kind of got to survive. You kind of got to go along and get along. You got to, and it's both, because at the end of the day, you need to work to survive and then find the places where you can thrive in as much authenticity as you want to share. So here's my summation. Mm-hmm. Code switch when you need to, but don't forget who you are in the process. You are a beautiful, complex, multifaceted human being, and that's something that we should be celebrating. So I want you to remember that you don't have to compromise your authenticity to get ahead or to get where you want to go. You can still be true to yourself, and you can still strive to have success on your own terms. You just need to be strategic and intentional. Now, when we get back from the break, I'm going to talk about some ways that you can think through code switching when you do need to code switch. Okay? When we get back from the break. Hey, y'all. So I would be a bad podcast host to you guys if I didn't offer you guys the same thing I offered to the Higher Learning podcast. Like, I'm gonna go to somebody else's podcast and give them something and not give it to y'all. So for the month of April, if you have a career situation, you want to talk to me about it for free, send me an email at ask@trillionbashow.com and say, hey, I listened to your show, but I want you to give me the Higher Learning podcast freebie. I know you gave the 30-minute consult to the Higher Learning podcast folks, those thought warriors over there. But what about your corporate warriors that have been riding with you? You know I got y'all. I love y'all. So listen, hit me up, ask@trillionba.com, and let me know that you want this consultation. And what will happen is you will get an email back with a link to schedule some time with me, and we can talk about any work situation you want. Now, please, I love y'all, but I need y'all to focus. Have a question, ask me the question. I got you. Okay. And if you haven't had a chance, go check me out on the Higher Learning podcast. It was a great episode. They were really fun. They got into talking about all the shenanigans with, I think her name is Angel Reese, the LSU basketball Bayou Barbie. I love that name. The branding, chef's kiss. So definitely go check out that episode. And thanks for the support, guys. So again, I ain't gonna do for others what I wouldn't do for you. Okay. So I got y'all. So yeah, so just email me, ask@trilliumba.com. Let me know you want the Higher Learning consult, and I got you for the month of April. So you gotta get the slots. The slots are the Higher Learning. They was like, hey, we need help. So get in where you fit in this month, and let's wrap up the show. All right, y'all, listen. Now we're gonna get to some good stuff. How do we navigate code switching like the badasses we are? So first and foremost, it's important to remember that you don't have to sacrifice your authenticity in order to code switch. You can still be your fabulous, authentic self while also adjusting your communication style to fit the situation. That's what I do. I have fun with it. I really try. It really is all about finding the right balance. Another strategic key is building like really strong relationships. And I talk about this all the time. Building those strong relationships with your colleagues, letting them know who you are, regardless of their race or ethnicity, and getting to a certain level of work trust with them and humanizing yourself with them, like letting them get to know you, will allow you to create a very strong support system in the workplace so that you can be more of your true self without getting dinged. Even when you're code switching, right? And having this diverse network can help you navigate some of the more tricky situations at work and provide valuable insights that you may not have considered otherwise. So really build those relationships. Always work on your relationships. Work on your work vulnerability. They don't need to know all your business, okay? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what they need to feel like is that they do know you. And so you want to show up as consistently as possible, which is why code switching becomes very hard, because sometimes it's hard to keep that shit up. I'm going to be honest with you. Or you can be like me and be like, oh, no, this is a game I play. This is the life I live. And I do bust a few little jokes here and there. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm a good time. But I'm Felicia on a 2. And on this podcast, I'm Felicia like on a 6. Y'all ain't ready for Felicia on 10. Only my friends know that Felicia. It's a good time. It involves alcohol. Okay. And the last tactic I want you guys to take away outside of building relationships, and this is the most important thing. This is the very most important thing, guys. Take care of yourself. And because code switching can be emotionally exhausting, it is so important to make time for self-care and self-advocacy. So you got to take care of yourself and you got to take up for yourself. So whether it's taking a mental health day or finding a mentor who can help guide you through the ups and downs of your workplace and your career, or simply if it's just taking a few deep breaths before an important meeting to center yourself. Please prioritize your well-being. And remember that you are a valuable, worthy asset to any workplace. And that these workplaces are fuckboys. So you might have to leave the one you at. Now, before I get out of here, I want you to remember you are strong. you are capable. You are more than capable of navigating the complexities of the workplace. Keep doing what you're doing. If you're seeing success, keep going. If you're code switching, keep code switching like the boss you are. And if anyone tries to come for you, okay, just remember, you are not too aggressive. You are not unprofessional. You're just a Black woman who knows how to get shit done. Point blank, period. Okay?
Bloody.
Okay, guys. If you need some help or advice about a specific situation, go to trillandba.com/coaching and schedule a 45-minute consultation with me to strategize and walk through your specific work situation. In addition, you can always email me at ask@trillandba.com. I'm happy to either answer your question or connect you to the right person if I don't have the answer for whatever reason. Again, that's trillandba.com/coaching to schedule a 45-minute consult and ask@trillandba.com to submit your question, concern. You can also submit listener letters. We want to hear how the show has helped you. If you have a question I can talk about on the air, please let me know that because we want to start doing mailbag episodes. So we're gearing up for that. So tell us all your juicy work dirt. We're here for the tea, okay? All right, guys. Quick caveat. We're not just here for the tea. We're here for the tea of paid and promoted. So we want to hear your tea and then we want to help you get paid and promoted, okay? Okay. Now, until next time. Keep it trill. The Trill and BA Show is a Fair World Corp LLC production. Executive produced by Felicia and Rose Inuha. Sound design and editing by Chris Mann with Podshaper. Theme music is Kick Push by Ryan Little. Keep it trill every day, y'all.